Greetings, nightmares, and welcome to the spine-chilling world of Miss Nightmare. Tonight we thread the shadowy path of an eerie narrative, The Boy in the Window. An ordinary woman, an ordinary window, and a boy. But not so ordinary. A tale that will make you question every creaking window in your home, every rustling curtain, and every fleeting shadow. Brace yourselves as we delve into the uncanny tale of The Boy in the Window. Our story begins with a woman living an ordinary life in an ordinary town. Let's call her Jane. Jane was just like you and me, working a 9-to-5 job, enjoying her evenings with a good book and a cup of hot cocoa. Her life was as mundane as it could get, a quiet rhythm of routine and simplicity. But one night, the rhythm was disrupted. The first encounter with the mysterious boy was subtle, almost imperceptible. A fleeting shadow in the corner of her eye, a chilling whisper in the dead of night. Nothing to fear, she told herself, just the tricks of an overworked mind. But the encounters grew in frequency. An inexplicable chill would sweep over her, the quiet hum of her house would grow silent, and the feeling of being watched would creep upon her. The boy was always there, an unseen terror lurking in the shadows, his presence felt but never seen. His voice was what truly unnerved Jane. It was a sadistic voice, filled with an eerie glee that sent shivers down her spine. It echoed in her mind, a haunting melody that turned her once comforting home into a house of horrors. Jane's once mundane life was now a constant battle against fear. The boy was everywhere and nowhere, a phantom who had woven himself into the very fabric of her existence. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights, every gust of wind carried with it the terror of the unseen boy. But this ordinary life was about to take a terrifying turn. The boy, once an unseen terror, was about to step out of the shadows, and Jane's life would never be the same. Soon, the woman began to notice a chilling presence around her. Her world was turning into a chilling theater of the macabre, an eerie stage where the ordinary morphed into the extraordinary, the natural into the supernatural. This presence manifested itself as a boy, but not just any boy. His was a visage that seemed to defy the very essence of humanity. His eyes, they were not normal. They were inhuman, otherworldly. They seared into her soul, a pair of glacial orbs that seemed to hold a depth of malevolence so profound it was as if they'd been forged in the very heart of darkness. His voice, too, was a stark departure from the innocent lilt one would associate with a child. It was sadistic, a chilling timbre that echoed in the hollows of her mind, each word a stinging whip that lashed out at her sanity. Every encounter with the boy was a dance with terror. His appearances grew more frequent, each more horrifying than the last. He lurked in the corners of her vision, a spectral figure that seemed to materialize out of thin air, always watching, always waiting. The fear he incited was visceral, a creeping dread that gnawed at her, turning each moment into an agonizing eternity. She could feel it, the heavy weight of his gaze, the cold brush of his presence. It was a horror that transcended the physical, a terror that resonated within the very marrow of her being. The woman was no longer safe in her own home. Each room, each corner, each shadow held the potential for a new nightmare, a fresh horror. She could not escape him. She could not escape the boy. She was being haunted by a boy not of this world. The line between reality and the supernatural was blurring. She was trapped in a chilling narrative, a terrifying tale that was becoming her reality. And the boy was just the beginning. The boy's appearances became more frequent, his presence more threatening. Each encounter with this eerie apparition was like a chilling whisper in the night, a disquieting reminder of an unexplainable terror that lived among her. Her home, once a sanctuary, had transformed into a haunting playground for the boy. He appeared unexpectedly, lurking in the darkest corners and reflecting in mirrors. His inhuman eyes, devoid of life, gleamed with a sadistic pleasure that sent shivers down her spine. His voice, a discordant melody, echoed through the halls, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The woman found herself enveloped in an omnipresent fear. Her nights were filled with dreadful anticipation, each creak a possible herald of the boy's arrival. Her days were no better, the sunlight offering no solace from her tormentor. The boy's presence was like a dark shadow that refused to dissipate, a chilling wind that wouldn't cease. He seemed to take pleasure in her despair, feeding off her growing fear. His haunting laughter rang in her ears, a cruel reminder of the control he held over her. He was a puppeteer, and she, his unwilling puppet. was being drawn towards an abyss of desolation. The boy's intentions became clearer with each passing day. He was not just a specter haunting her home, he was a malevolent entity determined to drive her to the brink of sanity. His end goal was not just to torment, but to push her into a pit of despair so deep that she might never claw her way out. She was trapped in her own home, a prisoner of an unseen horror. The walls that were meant to protect her now seemed to close in on her. The familiar surroundings turned alien under the boy's influence. But she was not ready to give in, not yet. The fight was far from over, and she would not let this phantom boy have the last laugh. In a chilling confrontation, the boy coerced her towards a window. The terror of the encounter was palpable, the air thick with a sense of dread that hung like a shroud around her. The boy, once just a faceless apparition, had become a malevolent force, his sadistic voice ringing in her ears. His inhuman eyes bore into hers, a haunting gaze that seemed to penetrate her very soul. His words were like poison, seeping into her thoughts, infecting her mind. He whispered of despair, of the pointlessness of resistance, and the allure of surrender. Each word was calculated, designed to break her, to bend her to his will. The window became an ominous sight, a symbol of her impending doom. Yet despite the boy's relentless onslaught, a spark of defiance ignited within her. She fought back, her will to live clashing with the boy's morbid intentions. The struggle was an agonizing dance, a tug-of-war between life and death. Yet, the boy was relentless. His words grew darker, his voice colder, his eyes more menacing. The window seemed closer now, the drop beyond it a chilling reminder of the boy's intent. She could hear his laughter, a harsh, cruel sound that echoed within the confines of her mind, a constant reminder of the threat he posed. Yet even in the face of such terror, she didn't yield. She fought, her spirit refusing to succumb to the boy's chilling words. Her defiance was a beacon, a glimmer of hope in the oppressive darkness. But the boy was unyielding, his determination matching hers. The struggle intensified, the tension peaking in a crescendo of terror. And then silence fell, a deadly calm before the storm. The boy's voice faded, his eyes dimmed, and for a moment it seemed as though she had won. But it was a fleeting victory. The boy re-emerged, his presence more terrifying than ever. The window loomed closer, the boy's laughter filled the air, and her resistance waned. In the end, all that was left was a note, a testament to her tragic demise. Her struggle was over. The boy had won, but even in her end, she left behind a story, a chilling tale of the boy in the window. The woman was no more, but the boy in the window remained. In the wake of her tragic demise, the house stood silent, echoing with the whispers of the woman's chilling encounter. The boy in the window had vanished, as if he had never been there. Yet the memory of his sadistic voice and inhuman eyes lingered, a haunting reminder of the terror he had wrought. The mystery of the boy deepened. Was he a malevolent spirit, a figment of the woman's tortured psyche, or perhaps something far more sinister? His true nature remained shrouded in darkness, a puzzle missing its pieces. His chilling presence had been as inescapable as it was inexplicable, a paradox that added another layer to the horror of the tale. As the days turned into weeks, then months, the woman's story became a whispered legend, a chilling tale told in hushed tones. Her note, claiming she took her own life due to being sick of living, served as a stark reminder of the impact of unseen horrors. It urged us to consider the terrifying reality that sometimes the most frightening monsters are not those that lurk in the shadows, but those that hide in plain sight. So we're left to ponder the haunting tale of the boy in the window, the terror he invoked, and the chilling aftermath of his presence. It's a story that reminds us that horror can take many forms, some more subtle than others, and that the lingering dread of the unknown can often be the most terrifying aspect of all. Remember, nightmares, not all horrors can be seen. And with that, we conclude our terrifying tale. We welcome your thoughts and sleepless nights in the comments below. Before you leave, do not forget to subscribe to Miss Nightmare and hit that like button. Until next time, sleep tight. And remember, the darkness is always watching.